let's try this. So I have this waveform chart down here where it should have the RPMs once I turn it on here. One. So that's just the top rotor. You can see this is hertz over here. This is RPMs over here. We'll let that kind of get up to speed here. I'm gonna do this. Actually, can I? There we go. That's a little better. If I can. I don't want it to auto scale. All right, now I need to select this. Nope. This. Do that. All right, so that's the actual RPMs there. As soon as I turn on the bottom one, we'll see that one come on too. Let's do that. There we go. So you can see right now I have the bottom RPMs are at 17, 19, 18, somewhere around there. See if I can bring that up even just a little bit more. There we go, that's a little steadier. All right, so now as I adjust these speeds, you're gonna watch the other one change. So how about I adjust the bottom rotor to kind of get close to this top rotor speed. I turned it down. So I turned down the top rotor speed and you can see, or I turned down the bottom rotor and you can see the top rotor went down too. Turn the bottom rotor up. You can see that by only turning the bottom rotor up, it has affected the top rotor. And I still don't quite have them at the same speed, so let's get them a little closer to the same speed. Something cool happens once they get up towards the same speed. All right, so now the bottom rotor has exceeded the top. Let's see if we can get to that cool effect. I turned it down accidentally. Let me back up. All right, I think I got to get the top rotor going a little faster before I can get the cool effect to happen. But now that the bottom rotor is going pretty fast, the cool effect last time was around 33 hertz. You can see right now I'm at 40 and 44 hertz, so I'm trying a new thing already. looking for those places where the adjusting one rotor affects the other. All right, I think if I turn down the lower rotor, it'll affect the top rotor. Maybe? Let's make this even a little bit easier to see. All right, let's get back down to the 33 hertz area where I know stuff really likes to affect each other. It's around like 1800 RPMs. Yeah, right around here is where stuff really likes to jump around on me. And I'll turn on the high voltage here in just a minute too, and you'll see how that affects the speeds of things. It pretty much only affects the top rotor speed, but because the top rotor speed can affect the bottom rotor speed, that means that the high voltage can affect the bottom rotor via the top rotor. Now we're hitting a resonance spot. You see how that orange yellow top rotor is changing tandem with the bottom rotor, the blue. And now look, the bottom rotor has evened out, but the top rotor took a way down nosedive. So right now the bottom rotor is strongly affecting the top rotor. Whereas before, back here, the bottom rotor wasn't really affecting the top rotor a whole lot when they were over speed. But now that they're kind of mid-speed, slightly under speed, that's where we start seeing this significant effect. I mean, look at this. The top rotor I had set up here at like 30 hertz, and now it's already dropped itself down to 25 hertz or like 300 RPM. Occasionally, weird resonance stuff will happen here, and this one rotor that is being affected by the other will just all of a sudden shoot up, taking the other rotor along with it. Like it'll shoot up until it meets it, and then they both will shoot up together, or the opposite. One will shoot down to the other, and they'll start slowing down a lot. Kind of like what happened right here. All right, I'm going to affect the top rotor. So the top rotor was already in that resonant state, so a tiny little change to it has a big effect. So back here, it's kind of like they were in a resonant state, and now they're kind of in an anti-resonant state. You can kind of see in the camera, you know, that wobble on that top disc. My eye can't really see that as well as the camera can. But that slow wobble that you see on camera for the top rotor, it causes the whole thing to kind of like pulse downwards. All right, let's bring the bottom rotor up just a little bit. See if we can cause an interplay there. There they are. See, they're running up together. I didn't touch the top. I just touched the bottom. All right, I'll get ready. Once this evens out, I'll turn on the high voltage so you can kind of see how that affects things. It affects it depending on what resonant state it's in, but I think it's in a state where the top rotor speed should be affected. Okay, we're even, we're evened out. All right, turn on high voltage. Slowly increase that high voltage. It might not be in the right resonance state for the high voltage. We'll see. It really starts affecting it towards the high end of the high voltage. I'm still at the low end. I'm at 11.5 volts in. I have to get to 16 volts in for it to really become apparent. 14 to 16, but definitely apparent by 16 usually. 12.5. You have to slowly increase the high voltage because it's like, I'll measure it with my static meter. It's building up this negative field on the bottom, and if you do it too quick, it ends up putting a positive charge on the top, which you don't want that positive charge on the top. All right, let's see. So right now we're sitting at, yeah, nothing on bottom, minus 3 kV on bottom. So that's good. We don't have a positive field on top. That's a good thing. All right, we're at 14 volts in for the high voltage. Which, oh, that's getting better. We're building up. We're at negative 5.5. Now here's another problem I found. Just measuring the field on the bottom with this will slow down or disrupt the ability of that negative field in the bottom to build up. So, like, how are you supposed to even measure if the act of measuring disrupts it? So I might have already disrupted it just by putting that under there. We're going to go up to, I was at 14 volts in. I'm up at 16 volts in now, like Alexi says. And yeah, it doesn't really look like it's had much of a change. You can see like a little hump in the lower rotor right there. Now if I let that sit for a minute though, and kind of build up, maybe? Okay, I'm going to keep putting more in. 17 volts in. Do exactly what I said not to do and measure it. We're at negative 8, which is not great. If you turn it up too fast, that bottom doesn't get highly negatively charged enough. You got to do it slow, like incrementally, for that bottom field to have time to like build up. Like you do it too fast and you'll top out at negative 7, negative 8. You do it slow and it'll top out at negative 20 kV or more. It sounds like it's changing. It kind of looks like it's changing here. How about I zoom in a little bit right here? Ignore that blue spike. That's just an arc. All right. So now you can kind of see how the top rotor is coming down in speed over time. And it's real slow. Right? Right about here is where I turned on the high voltage, and took a little while, and then it started dropping down. And as this top rotor slows down, the bottom rotor is slowly speeding up. I think this is validating for what Alexei has told us. If I'd let this just sit and continue for a while, I suspect it'll keep going. But Alexei might potentially have it set up in such a way as where you have the speeds of the two close enough that once this top one comes down enough, they reach this like super shoot-off resonance state together. And during that shoot-off resonance state is the state where, like, after that state, that's when you can start doing the RF stuff, because the RF and the ultrasound causes the top rotor charges and the bottom rotor charges to start to equalize. It's like turning on a gate for the voltage, which you only got so long to do that before the voltage is neutralized enough that you've gone from negative 20 on the bottom, 0 on the top, to negative 7 on the bottom, and like 3.5 kV on the top, plus 3.5 kV on top. So it's definitely an art, especially without being able to constantly sense stuff. All right, you can see it looks like the top rotor has pretty much gotten to where it's going to go. Now, when I key the RF, you'll see these spikes like crazy. Let's do a quick measurement. Yeah, I've messed something up because I'm sitting at negative 4.5 on bottom and plus 1 on top. If it's more than plus 0.5 on top, that means that you've gone wrong. If the bottom is less than like negative 10, if it's negative 10 or less, then it's no good. It's got to be between negative 10 and negative 20 for you to really start seeing this effect. But just so I can show you, I will turn on my RF and ultrasound. And tell you what, I will just turn on ultrasound. I won't do the RF, because the RF totally neutralizes everything when you key it. But for the ultrasound, 95 kilohertz, turn that amplitude way up. Turn on channel 3. I don't know if I can. Okay, I can plop that. Maybe. All right, so now I've turned on the ultrasound to 95 kilohertz. We're looking to see if something changes here in the speed. I mean, the bottom is kind of sped up a little bit. We got this little dip. I turned it on like right here. So we got this little dip. See if they start running together. Yeah, you can see something chaotic has started going on here. And the level of that chaos is probably related to how close the ultrasound frequency is to the chaotic frequency. But yeah, you can see changes there. I will adjust the frequency. All right, let's go down to 90. I can hear the beat frequency has changed. Oh yeah, look at that top rotor speed now. right, I'm going to turn it down to 85 kilohertz. See if that gets us closer or farther away. I can hear the change in the beat frequency. Not the beat frequency, the brush going. All right, what do we think? Has 85 gotten us closer than 90? I'm not touching it yet. It's still changing. I'd say 85 has had a greater effect on the bottom rotor speed via the top rotor, of course. And we can see that there was some kind of release of energy here, some kind of arc. Now let's go down to 80. It might be going in the right direction. Nope, I don't think it was. Sounds like the brush is hitting a little faster now. The goal is to make the brush hit like constant or not at all. That means that the vibration is lessened. All right, let's change the frequency up to 87.5. Oh, it's getting better. I can hear it. Hopefully this audio is coming through well. All right, I'm going to go up in frequency a little more. Go up to 89. So I think you can calculate the RF frequency necessary based off the ultrasound. My chart shows that it should probably be 20 times the frequency of the ultrasound is the frequency of the RF, or the ultrasound is 1/20th a wavelength of the RF. No, other way around. 1/20th the frequency, 20 times the wavelength. You know what I mean. I hope. Okay, okay. Starting to get a little closer down there. Oh, look at that. It inverted. When it inverts, that's when special stuff happens. Oh yeah, it's getting special now. Yeah, see? The bottom rotor is kind of speeding up with it. It's hitting that special resonance state. I can hear it. All right, so I must be getting close with the ultrasound frequency. Let's key the mic. Let's key the mic on the proper frequency. Let's see, I am at 89.9 times 20. I should be at 1798. All right. See the mic, you're going to see big old spikes everywhere. The mic for just a little bit, and I'll let it go. All right, I'm going to do this. Oh, hold on. Scale that. That's so we can see it a little better. How about I zoom in on the time domain a little bit too? All right, so you can see we kind of hit this resonant state, and then I keyed the mic. And the act of keying the mic looks like it affected the top rotor speed, right? The top rotor speed has now lost that resonant state. It might go back down to it, but I feel like this video is getting long enough as it is. How about I just measure the high voltage, and then I'll turn off the ultrasound. All right. Yeah, there we go. I'm at -17, -18. Yeah, I maxed out the thing on the bottom. So right now on the bottom, it's got plenty of charge. If I pulse the ultrasound and then measure that again, we'll see I have lost the strong negative voltage on the bottom. Voltage on the top, negligible. We're at like 0.4 kV on top. So right now we're in a good state to pulse the ultrasound. So off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On, 1, 2, 3, 4. Off, 1, 2, 3. On, 1, 2. Off, 1. On. Off. On. Off. On. Off. On. So now that I've missed it, and I didn't have the RF pulsing with it, so RF on, pulse it. All right, have I lost my negative voltage on bottom? I have not lost it on bottom yet. I'm still maxed out on bottom, so I could probably keep testing, but I have a negative. No, I got +1 on top now. So that +1 means I'm probably a little too positive on top, I think. I'll try doing another pulse, we'll see. Oh! What? I don't know what's going on. Entered like a runaway state or something. That was weird. That was really weird. Check in on it. What the crap happened there? And it didn't sound like the bottom was slowing down. It sounded like the top was speeding way up. I don't know what happened there. Weird stuff, Maynard. There's a lot of sparks on the underside there. Maybe I can get the camera down lower where you can see it. Yeah, when I key the mic, see if I can get that in the shot. Key the mic. Look at all those sparks. Yeah, I think we're getting daggum close, buddy boys. Daggum close. I'll take one more measurement and then I'm going to turn it off. Yeah, I'm at negative 12, negative 14, negative 21. Yeah, still maxed out on bottom. That's good. And then on top, we're plus 1 point, plus 2 on top. Yeah, I've transferred too much charge to the top now. High voltage off. I'll let you see what happens to speed with the high voltage turned off. Zoom in on the speed here a little more. And now look, with that high voltage turned off, look at what happened to this top disc and bottom disc. Look at how all that stuff goes crazy. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I ain't touching nothing. It's still going a wibbly wobbly. I still have the ultrasound on. Let's turn the ultrasound off. See how that changes the speed more. So now the only thing turned on is the rotors. I suspect the ultrasound probably only has much of an effect on speed when the high voltage is present. He says as all this more chaos comes into play. Look at all that craziness. Look at that craziness. All right, that's probably enough for now. How about I shut this down? Yeah. So looking back at this and zooming in on here and then zooming in on, I'd say right around here was good stuff. Maybe even right around here. Other than this crazy noise there, I can probably zoom in a little bit more and get rid of that noise too. Oops.